1 minute to go to the start of the 49er medal race, and so we've got the top 10 teams lining up to see who will come out ahead at the end of it. Well, it's going to be very hard to beat James Peters and Finn Sterrett from Great Britain. Watch out for GBR 30 wearing the yellow bibs, because they have got a really good lead over the rest of the fleet, so it's maybe going to be more interesting to watch who comes away with the silver and bronze. Adil Van Aanholt, I've got the 49er FX World Champion standing next to me, Andy Rice. We've got just 20 seconds to go. Adil, it's looking busy up this committee boat end.
Yeah, it's looking busy. I think if you can manage to pull off a high start on starboard going towards the left-hand side, you got a good start. You got 10 seconds to go. We also got a few port starters. Let's see how they do. 3, 2, 1. It looks like all clear with a very...
Oh,
well,
two signals.
Opinions differ. I have to say Austria did have a very tight start, so I'll be surprised if it would be someone else other than them. Let's see if someone goes back or if they all decide to continue. We've got the first gold medal ones. We've got them heading off towards the right side, fast groove on a port tack, and quite a big part of the fleet heading out towards the left.
So we got GBR in picture right now, and just trying to see who the boat is that's ahead of them.
8. It looks like Austria 8 was the boat that was over early, so they seem to be continuing and not going back.
Right, so that's going to be a disqualification for Austria 8, who started the week so well, winning the first day of competition. But for Keanu Pretner and Jakob Flackberger, maybe they think they weren't over, but the race committee seems to believe that they were, and they were in with a chance of getting a medal. They were in 4th place going into this race, so this is disastrous for the Austrians.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any chance to push it, it would be now. I mean, you're 3 points off the medals, and if they could pull off that start, I mean, it's really great, but you gotta risk it to get the biscuits, but they didn't get it.
So they won't know that yet, otherwise they would have turned back, surely. But right now we're looking at the pack of boats on the left-hand side of picture. That's the Fantella brothers sailing at the bottom of the screen. The 2018 world champions, Šime and Mihovil from Croatia, charging along on port tack. They are in 10th going into this race, so no chance of them winning a medal as they just get across the front of a starboard tacker. Maybe that's the Austrians we were talking about. There's 2 Austrians in this race. I'm not sure which one that was that we saw just then, but we're still with the Fantella brothers, the drone tracking over the top of the Croatians. And the Fantellas, they are a class act, aren't they?
Yeah, it's super cool to see people from different classes stepping into the 49er and enjoying it as much as they are doing it, and extra special because they're brothers, and it's so special for the class to get these top quality sailors, just like Joe Alley, you know, from 470 stepping in, and Charlene Picon from the R6. It's super fun that we get a chance to race against these legends.
Well, what you're referring to there is Šime Fantella winning the Olympic gold medal at Rio 2016 in the 470, and then switching to the 49er, and made a very successful switch, winning the world championship just 2 years later.
So it looks like super crossing between the boats that went out to the left and the boats that went out to the right. So it looks like we've got quite a stable boat race course, which means boat speed is very important, and keeping a clear lane and basically minimizing maneuvers. So let's see who can do that best. So far, Croatian looks clear ahead with high speeds. So yeah, I'm rooting for them at the moment.
Well, they're making it look very simple and straightforward. They've only done one tack in this race so far. One tack from starboard onto port, and there is GBR 30. That is the current yellow bib wearers. Well, there'll be the yellow bib wearers all the way through. No one's going to take the bibs away, and probably no one's going to take the gold medal away either. They got a 17-point lead, I think it is. 16-point lead over Logan Dunning-Beck and Oscar Gunn from New Zealand. New Zealand 7, the closest threat for the gold medal to GBR 30. And meanwhile, Adil's favourite team are sailing all the way over to the right-hand side. That's Šime and Miho Fantella from Croatia. Have they not gone a little bit too far, Adil?
Yeah, we'll see. We can't see the top mark from here, but it is difficult to spot the top mark from so far away in these conditions, and also with this dust. And every meter you sail over the ley line, you're giving away to others. And in this stable breeze, you don't want to do that. So let's see where they are and if they tack on time.
Now, Adil, I wrongly said earlier that your boyfriend Bart Lambrechts and his crew, Floris van der Werken, were going to be in the medal race. They're not. How come the reigning world champions didn't make it into the medal race?
I think it all depends on where your focus is at the moment. Quite some teams have already feel like they've done their winter training, they've done their investing, and they're ready to get back into racing. Maybe they want to work on their strategy or tactics or starts, and other people still have their focus elsewhere. So I know the boys have been focusing on midline starts a lot. They've been doing a lot of work by themselves. And that was also where their focus was that week. So I mostly hope they made improvements with that, and that they learned their lessons, and that they don't get too upset about racing. Because if your focus is not on racing, you can't get upset if you're not performing in racing.
Now, what do the Dutch media think about you, the golden couple, having both won the last two championships in the 49er and the 49er FX? I can't think that's ever happened in Olympic sailing before, that a boy and a girlfriend both are winning twice in a row their world championships. That's a big story, surely, in the Netherlands.
Yeah, it's super cool to see, and it's cool that it got picked up by the media. But also, don't forget our teammates, because we couldn't do it without them. And
well, they do the hard work at the front of the boat, actually, don't they?
For sure, they do the hard work, and we also work very well together, the four of us, with Floris and Annette. We talk every day when we're at a regatta about what we saw, what we did, how we can learn from each other. So, yeah. But anyways, not very important. Let's get back to the racing.
Now the fleet are coming back together again as they're getting towards the top of the course. And Adil, what can you pick out from that? I think I see the Spanish on the far left going underneath one of the boats on starboard. It looks like the Croatians are now the furthest left boat. Is that right?
Yeah, so we're not seeing the top mark yet. So we're waiting for that to come into picture. It looks like they're all tacking onto ley line now. The Croatians got a bit of space, but let's hope they're actually on the ley line and they don't have to do two more tacks. The other boats are very close together. France made a nice jump ahead. First banging the right-hand corner, then bending in left, and it seems to pay off. They probably are super in sync with the shifts, and they look to be in first at the moment.
So it looks like, depending on where this windward mark shows up in the picture, it looks like the Fantellas maybe haven't done as well as we thought. If they've got two more tacks to do, then the Fantellas not as strong as we thought. But surely the Fantellas still, the Fantellas will have to tack because GBR has just gone behind them. So it looks like the French are going to be leading around the top mark for the first time. But depends. Fantella's still looking good on the left-hand side. The question for them is, will they be able to... Actually, they're really pulling on the sails hard now to pinch.
They're doing a nice high mode, and it seems like the rest of the fleet actually overstood the ley line a little. So, yeah, they are taking advantage of that. So we got France 31 at first at the upwind mark. Second will be Croatia. Third will be the ones who are in first at the moment, GBR. Then we got Spain coming around. I think that's going to be Austria 28 next, and then New Zealand rounding the mark.
Okay, so New Zealand not doing enough to threaten GBR 30 for the gold medal right now. So GBR would need to be a disaster for anyone to take the gold medal away from Great Britain 30 from James Peters and Finn Sterrett, because as long as they get a mid-fleet finish, that's going to be enough for them to win the gold medal, isn't it, Adil?
Yeah, for sure. If I'd be New Zealand, I'd mostly just be focusing on sailing a good race myself, focusing on myself, and trying to keep Poland behind me if we can.
Now, Adil, can I get you to do the honours and punch in the scores on the doors on the app and just see how those silver and bronze positions are lining up, because that's where the battle is likely to come out. Is it going to be New Zealand that managed to hold on to the silver? Will the Poles be able to hang on to bronze, or will the Poles move ahead and get the silver medal from New Zealand? How are things standing? I'll give you a little bit more time on that, Adil.
It's good I'm a sailor and not a technician.
You're doing well. You've got fast fingers of a millennial, or you're probably younger than a millennial, actually. You're a Gen something.
I don't know.
A Gen Zer.
I don't know about categories. I am.
You are. You're a
Human.
26-year-old.
No, 25.
25.
Let's go up by the minutes. Let's see. France 31 ripping it downwind here on ports. Looks like they've got a long port leg, but they're not on ley line for the gate yet, so they'll have to get another jibe in.
So the French, as you say, absolutely flying along, and not much chance of France winning a medal today, but a really nice way for Lucas Royal and Emile Amoros to finish the regatta.
Yeah, for sure. Must be a nice feeling. We see the British have done a jibe set, I think, together with New Zealand, and they've gone way out towards one side. I think it's time for them to jibe soon. They're just jibing as I say it. Let's see if they're on ley line or if they've gone over.
So this mist, this dust rather, the Kalima dust from the Saharan desert 60 miles away from where we are in Lanzarote, still having a huge effect on visibility. Some sailors even wearing masks while they're out there on the water today, and a lot of people on shore wearing masks. And it's not because of COVID, it's because of the Kalima dust, and really, really having a big effect on the visibility right now.
Yeah, so here come the first boats coming in hot. It's still France 31 ripping towards the gates with Croatia quite close behind them. Then we actually see that GBR have been overtaken by someone. They're in fourth now. That was a very clean drop. They're keeping the boat speed high, choosing to go towards the left-hand side of the course first. Woo! Sketchy breeze. It has definitely picked up again. And looks like jibe set has not paid off. Ooh, there go the Spanish trying to jibe. Very loose main sheet and losing control of the boats. That must hurt. That must hurt. The Austrians have done an early drop, keeping it safe, but still trying to keep the boat speed high, rounding the mark in third. Then, in fourth, we got GBR coming in hot.
You're doing a great job of doing all the jobs and leaving me with... I don't need to do anything, Adil. You got it all covered. But, yeah, the French, you can see in the front of your picture, still charging along. But back at the leeward gate, it's carnage for the Spanish. What a disaster for the local heroes. And, it's a bad drop on board the New Zealand boat. This could be the end of any challenge for the gold medal for Logan Dunning-Beck and Oscar Gunn, because they've got a knot in their Jenica halyard or something. There's some reason why they can't get that Jenica put away.
That looks like a knot in their Jenica, and those are valuable meters. We saw Polish rounding the mark just behind them, taking the other mark. So it's a tough situation because you're under stress right now. The skipper is trying to keep the boat as fast as he can, trying to still go upwind, and you're trying to take this knot out, but there's so much pressure because you know you have to do it quick, and you're losing meters every second. And once the knot is in, it's often very hard to get out. And in front of us, we see Spain. They've just managed to right their boat. The crew is still trying to get inside. They've got a bit of a catch-up race going for them.
Well, it's all gone wrong for the local heroes, Diego Botina and Florian Trittle, who've just got their boat back upright, and the Kiwis also struggling to get that Jenica back in, still struggling with what we think might be a knot in the wrong place in the retrieval line on the Jenica. Meanwhile, at the front, it's the French that continue to lead, and leading quite comfortably from the Croatian brothers, Shime and Miho Fantella. And only now, a few minutes later, do the Spanish finally go round the leeward gate, while the leaders, France, are more than halfway up the track towards the windward mark for the second and final time. So really there's... well, they're going to sleep well tonight, hopefully, on that aeroplane to Sydney, because Botan and Trittle from Spain, they're going to be sailing on board Team Spain in Sail GP next week in Sydney on the far side of the world. It's a long way to go for just a week.
Yeah, it's definitely a long way to go, but what they'll be learning there is very valuable. I mean, even in the Sail GP, you got to make decisions even faster. So I'm sure that that will help Diego with his decision making here as well. And for me, as an FX sailor, it's so cool to be able to race with these peoples. And I mean, if you can combine it both, why not? I mean, there's learning opportunities everywhere.
And when the Dutch boat comes along, who's going to be steering the boat? Is it you or your boyfriend, Bart Lambriax? Have you decided that one already?
Well, I haven't been asked on the team, so I'm still working on getting on the team. And then once I'm on the team, I'll fight for my spots just by doing well. So let's hope it actually happens in the future.
So is there any sign of a Dutch team coming on board for Sail GP?
I know they're really working hard towards it. Unfortunately, up until now, the Dutch are not really much into fast, high performance, and we're trying to sell that we are the new Max Verstappen, because essentially it is. You know, we're the Formula One on the water with SailGP, so we're selling that, and I think it's a matter of time because the sport is so cool. Some people must jump on this train.
Well, we see skiff sailors very popular. It's a good recruiting ground, isn't it? 49er and FX for sailing in high speed racing like America's Cup and Sail GP. So this is a good place to get in at the bottom, isn't it? In Olympic 49er and 49er FX racing.
Yeah, I mean, every time I've stepped into a foiling boat like a Moth or a 69F, I feel like my skills as a 49er FX sailor come in very handy. I mean, they're playful boats, and the feeling is actually quite similar. So a good place to be, and I think both things can help each other. And it's cool also to see the girls' fleet doing Paula doing it, Amelie doing it, and yeah, I'm cheering them all on, and hopefully be with them one day.
I'm sure you will be. I'm sure you'll be a massive asset to the Dutch team in Sail GP as and when that happens, and when you have an America's Cup team as well. But anyway, that's enough of the dreaming. Let's just update ourselves. We are coming up to the top windward mark, the final time for the 49er medal race. GBR 30, James Peters and Finn Sterrett not having a particularly good race right now in the medal race, but it doesn't really matter because Great Britain is still so far ahead on points. They've sailed a really good week here in Lanzarote that they are very secure for the gold medal. But as they come up towards the top mark, there is a close battle between France and Croatia for leading this race. It's still France in the lead. Do you think France will do enough to keep the Fantellas behind them?
Yeah, we'll have to see. They seem to be rapid in the downwind last time, so yeah, we'll have to see. I don't know. It's very close together. It seems like it's only have gotten closer together since this last upwind. So lots to play for.
Okay, now you can see the two boats coming up towards the top of the screen, and it looks like the French have still got a reasonable lead on the Fantellas. And on the right hand side of the picture, I wonder if one of those boats is actually Great Britain. I think that's Great Britain, and just to windward of them is, who do you think?
I think it's Austria 28, so that'll be
oh, the boat that's over the line early. So the other one.
I think this is Ben and David.
Right,
yeah,
right.
I think.
Well, Austria 28 is the other team that we thought was disqualified, I think.
Austria 8 is out.
Oh, it's Austria. Well, Ben.
So actually, so we gotta change our.
It's an Austrian boat anyway. We don't know which one yet, but going round the top mark for the final time with a good lead over the Croatians, the French. Lucas Ruel and Emil Amoros are leading quite comfortably from Shime and Miho Fantella.
Yeah, big gap, and then also number 2 have taken a big gap. So if I were them, I'd just be enjoying this last downwind, letting it rip, and getting the boat to the finish line.
Would you ever dare start celebrating on this final bit? Do you start talking about what you're going to say in your winner's speech as you sail down the final leg?
Not for a second. I'm fully focused. Even if there's not any possibility of overtaking anymore, I'll still be talking about every wave, every gust coming in. I mean, you still want to keep that focus because this is sailing, this is nature. A lot can happen.
And especially here in Lanzarote, we've seen such extreme conditions here this week, and they've been very changeable at times, so you've got to keep your wits about you. That's a nice jibe executed by our leaders, the French. This is Lucas Ruel and Emil Amoros looking increasingly like they're going to finish off their week in perfect style by winning the 49er medal race with Shime and Miho Fantella, the 2018 world champions from Croatia, jibing onto the same line as the French, looking pretty secure for second place across the finish line.
How it's looking right now, we still got GBR in first. We've got New Zealand, even with that nasty accident at the gates, still in second place. And then we've got Austria in third.
So which Austria is that, just to be clear?
It's the young guns. It's the young guns. So that's super interesting for the next couple of years.
And
they've got two top teams.
Just before we get too excited about, let's just be really clear about which Austrian boat was over the line. So let's see if we can find that out. If you can just run out and ask which Austrian boat it was that was over, I will just hold the fort here for a moment. So we just want to get it clear because there are two Austrian boats on the race course, and if one of them wins the bronze medal, we want to make sure that it is actually them.
Okay, so it was Benjamin and David over early, so they've already gone out of the race, I think, and here we've got the first finishers coming in hot.
Excellent. So just about to finish the 49er medal race. In the lead, it's France 31. It's going to be Lucas Rual and Emile Amoros who crossed the finish line victorious. Congratulations to the French. France 31.
Allez le bleu!
And that's going to be the Croatians, the Fantella brothers, your favourite team on this race course, Adil.
I don't know about that. I don't know. I like all teams equally. Let's keep it at that.
But we do like the smiling brothers from Croatia. That's Šime and Miho Fantella, the Red Bull sailors from Croatia, winning or coming second in that race behind the French.
Yeah, and here we've got the young Austrian boys, Kenu Preter and Jacob Flachberger coming in, and it's super impressive. I mean, they don't have the same experience as all of these guys sailing the boat for tens of years already, and look at them in these conditions. Fast, but also a smart boat.
Bronze medal. Third place in this race was enough to give bronze medal to Austria 28, who've just crossed the finish line. But there are our gold medalists with the yellow Jenica. It's James Peters and Finn Sterrett who have dominated this week. A fourth place in the medal race was easily enough to give them the gold medal. So congratulations to Great Britain for the gold.
I think they made a good pick with their Jenica, right? Yellow, just starting off confident, starting with the yellow bibs, yellow Jenica.
It matches very nicely, and it takes a woman to point out these details. So thanks for spotting that, Adil. And Ireland 9 crossing the line next in fifth place. That's Robert Dixon and Sean Wadilove. And then Poland 5, where they started the day, Lukasz Cibitek and Jacek Piasecki. They were in third place, bronze medal position, but they come away with nothing. New Zealand 7 finally crossed the line, the purple Jenica, and that's going to be close finish, but we...
Just ahead of USA, so they didn't need it, but still nice to overtake that boat, and it's a silver medal for them.
Silver medal for New Zealand for Logan Dunning-Beck and Oscar Gunn. And let's see, who else have we got next?
That's just the Spanish coming. It's probably a long race for them after that capsize with no chance of catching up. But I hope they got to enjoy the conditions still.
Diego Botin and Florian Trittle, not the way they would have liked to have finished on home waters, but the Spanish team just crossing the finish line now, and that is the end of the regatta. That's the end of Lanzarote International Regatta 2023. That was our final medal race of the day. You can see the France 31 celebrating their medal race win. Adil, we saw three really interesting, fun medal races. But how has commentary compared with the adrenaline of being out there on the water? You're still going to stay sailing for a few years longer, I think.
Yeah, lots of years, I hope. I mean, it's definitely fun to do something else, and it's always very interesting, and I learn a lot from looking at it from the outside. I would lie if I wouldn't want to be out there, but I had a really, really good morning session today, so I had my fun, and I'm getting a bit seasick, so better to get off the boat.
Can you believe it? This reigning world champion actually gets seasick even when she's sailing the boat that she wins world championships on. That's how dedicated Adil van Aanholt is to her craft. Absolute pleasure to have you along today. Thanks to the Sailmon team behind the scenes running this show. Thank you to everyone in Marina Rubicon, to Rafa and all your team for running a great regatta. This is just year 3 of Lanzarote International Regatta, and sailors like Adil keep on coming back to Lanzarote because they absolutely love it for training, and increasingly they love it for racing. So from Adil and me, Andy Rice, that's it for today. Hope you loved the coverage, and we will see you at the next Olympic Regatta.